Hello, my wonderful, beautiful friends. Welcome back to r/Entitled People, where you'll hear stories about people who think they always get what they want and that the world revolves around them. Guys, in this episode, you're gonna hear about the time that OP gets some sweet revenge on not one, but a whole group of Karens for belittling him as a waiter. Guys, it's a fantastic tale, so sit back and relax because we're diving in. Oh, and hit that subscribe button for future Entitled People stories, guys. My grandparents came to Canada from Italy in the 70s and opened up a restaurant. When they passed away, the restaurant went to my parents, and over decades, they grew and expanded it. I've been working at the restaurant since I was 15. Over time, my parents got older and eventually retired, becoming snowbirds, going to Florida for the winters. They left the restaurant to me a few years ago, but still retain a small percentage of ownership as an additional revenue stream, along with their savings. Soon, as I gained control, I pretty much modernized the whole place. Remodeled the restaurant, changed the logo, invited food bloggers, vloggers, etc. It was very slow at first, and I began to worry that the loan I took out to do all of this was the biggest mistake I've ever done, and started thinking that I ruined 3 generations of my family's business. But eventually, hard work paid off, and it began to work. A local famous YouTuber featured us in one of his videos, and that was the catalyst for more people to come and review. Eventually, we were seeing 5 times the business we usually get, even if it's a Monday. We became a hotspot for major events, and it wasn't uncommon for even a famous person to stop by. On those nights, I even arranged a special high-profile chef to come visit and cook for our guests. So, during the holidays, we were beyond packed. It got to the point where people would have to make reservations a month in advance. Whenever it gets busy, I don't just sit back in the office. I'm on the floor doing whatever needs to be done, even if it means I greet people, bussing tables, or even mopping the floors. Other nights, when we have high-profile guests or events, I'm in a blazer and are acting in charge. On one busy Friday night, a group of 6 women walk in. They all look to be in their mid to late 20s. I was at the door greeting guests, and as they were walking up, I heard Queen Karen telling the baby Karens how this place is awesome, the food is amazing, and they might even catch a famous person here. When she came up to me, she told me that she's in need of a table for 6. I replied, "Of course, can I please get the name on the reservation?" She looked at me and said, "Oh, I didn't make one, but it's okay. The owner is a personal friend of mine. He said he always has 1 or 2 tables that he keeps open for special guests, and he said we can have one of those tonight." Now, generally this is true, but I had no clue who this woman was, and she definitely never spoke to me about any of this. I did get that she was trying to get in without a reservation, but she literally picked the worst person and the worst night to try this. I told her, "I'm sorry, but we can't seat anyone without a reservation, and as you can see, we do not have any seats available." I did not want to go all out and say that I'm the owner and that we've never spoken before, because I didn't want to embarrass her in front of the other girls she was with. She then went on and say out loud to one of the other girls to take a picture of me, that she'll speak to the owner and make sure that I'm either cleaning the toilet or fired by the end of the week. The other girls following her lead were like, "Yeah, kiss your minimum wage goodbye, idiot." I'm not sure if they were in on it with her, or honestly they thought she knew the owner. Queen Karen then went on and said, "Look, you can just give us the table or I can make your life very difficult. This is not worth losing your job. Trust me, I've done this before, right girls?" The girls laugh at me and instantly agree with Queen Karen saying, "Oh yeah, if you want to keep the lights on, you should do what she says." Queen Karen was also trying to put me down, saying things like, "Obviously you aren't anyone here, because if you were, you'd know who I am, and never even try to tell me anything other than yes, or of course." At this point, it was a long day for me, and the way I saw it, I had 3 options. 1. Tell her that I'm the owner and just call her out on this. 2. Give her the table and let it be. Or 3. Teach Queen Karen and her little minions a lesson. I chose option 3 for various reasons, including some personality flaws that I'm aware I have, but I like to think that at least 50% really wanted to teach her a lesson. I smiled at her, said, "Of course, ma'am, follow me please," and gave her one of the 3 tables we keep open just in case a celebrity comes, as it happens time to time. I told her I apologized for everything and said she's right. It would be simpler just to give her a table. I also told her that the first 3 rounds of drinks will be on the house. I sat them down and personally served them. As they were sitting down, I told them we do need one of your credit cards and IDs just to keep on file, and we'll give it back to you before you leave. Queen Karen gave me her cards and told the baby Karens that tonight was on her. I took their orders and got them their free drinks and told them due to how busy we are tonight, there may be a delay on the food. All the girls were thinking of and only cared about were the free rounds of drinks. They ordered their 3 rounds and still no food. They eventually called me and asked me to check on it, the whole time giving me the world's most nasty attitude since even before they ordered. I told them I'll check on it, but also asked if they would like any more drinks. They ordered 2 more rounds by the time the appetizers arrived, and at this point, they are all drunk, having eaten nothing and had all those drinks. As more food arrives, the more drinks were ordered. What these girls never realized was that they're sitting at our VIP table, which alone costs a few $1,000s just to sit in. But I didn't charge them for that. What I did charge them for was all the super expensive cocktails they had throughout the night. In addition to that, the table they were sitting at, as mentioned, was VIP, so the menus were a bit different. For one, they don't say the prices on them. And in addition, it had certain higher-end menu options such as white truffle, black caviar dishes, and specially imported West Coast oysters, among other things. At one point in the night, I was honestly rethinking what I was doing, and thought maybe I was going too far with these poor girls, as they might not know any better. But some things reassured me throughout the night, such as one of the baby Karens asking me if I felt like my life was worthless since I'm a grown man and all I ever became in my life was a waiter. One of my other employees told me how he overheard that they were discussing how to mess around with me and flirt with me to the point that they can just do this whenever they want, and I'll know to always give them a table. I also overheard them say, "He is such a pushover and probably makes no money." There were a bunch of comments like this the whole night, so I kept on with their life lesson. By the end of the night, each girl racked up a bill in the range of $500 to $600 per girl. I handed Queen Karen the bill of $5,532.23, with tax and tip included, of course. I have never seen anyone sober up so quickly. She went from laughing and giggling with her friends to nearly in tears. She called me over instantly and asked if this was some kind of a joke. I took the bill and looked it over and said, "Oh, yes, I apologize. I'll get you the correct bill in a moment." Again, she felt a complete sense of relief thinking that she got someone else's bill, and called me a good-for-nothing idiot who can't even bring the correct bill to the table, and went on talking to her friends. To be fair, I did make a mistake. I did forget to count her 8th order of a dozen oysters that costs about $120 per order. When I went back to give her the correct bill, she flipped out again, going crazy. I asked if there was something on the bill that she didn't order. Queen Karen and the girls are all in shock and go over every single line of the bill, including the first few lines that show their original 3 rounds, which say complimentary. They then took out their phones and line by line went over everything for the 100th time, adding everything up. Extremely rattled, Queen Karen simply said, "1 second, I need to use the washroom." A part of me thought that she might just pull a dine and dash and leave the baby Karens with the bill, and that's when I reminded her that sitting at the VIP table required that we had her ID and credit card. About 10 minutes later, she comes back with new makeup. Obviously, she'd been crying, and makes up a whole story on how the food was awful, the drinks were so bad, and so on, and demanded that as a bare minimum, I should cut the bill in half, with the agreement that the baby Karens will chip in, even though she originally told them that the night was on her. Then, as if a light bulb went off in her head, she again mentioned her relationship with the owner, as if it were to give me additional incentive to cut the bill in half. Holding back a grin at this point, I told her, "No, just no, I can't change the bill." She whips out her phone and shows me a series of texts with someone called owner of restaurant. The series of texts had her asking the owner if she could get the bill cut in half, with the owner confirming yes. I then realized what she was doing when she was in the bathroom. She probably changed one of her other Karen minions' contact names and had her text back and forth. I read the series of texts, and then clicked on the contact info and told her that's not the owner's cell phone number. Her reply was, he has multiple phones for business and stuff, so of course, you don't know all of his numbers. I remember thinking, wow, the girl thought of everything, except I'm the actual owner. I told her, how about this? If we call him and he says it's okay to take 50% off the bill, then I'll do it. Her reply was yelling and screaming over this. I told her already in a less accommodating voice, cut the crap, little girl. You don't know the owner. You've never been here before, and if you keep yelling, I will call the police. Her demeanor changed as she was trying to defend herself the best she could. My reply to her weak comeback was, my grandparents founded this restaurant. My family's been running this place for generations. I have worked here almost my entire life. I'm the one and only owner of this place, and I've never seen you, never heard of you, and I definitely have never met a stranger tonight and made any promises to them. The mini Karens were just frozen and didn't even know how to react. Queen Karen was in tears. I said, now, I gave you the table that you wanted. One of your specially reserved tables for high-end clients, which I didn't charge you for, and I gave you 3 rounds of free drinks on me. I will call the cops and hand them your ID. In tears, Queen Karen signs the bill, and the mini Karens took out their purses to give whatever cash they had, which equaled to maybe a couple of $100, with a promise to pay her back more. 2 days later, a man walked into my restaurant fuming and asked one of my bartenders to speak to me. I was in the back office for a bit working, so he waited a good half hour for me. He was Queen Karen's father. She was with him too, keeping her head down. I took them both to my office, showed him highlights of the security cameras, showing them ordering all the food and drinking everything. When all was said and done, he stormed out with her and was screaming at her the whole time they were walking away. Haven't seen or heard from either of them since, but the original bill I gave them is framed on my desk. Guys, I love this story. Entitled people getting what they deserve is by far the best. I'm also curious what this restaurant is, and I do have a few questions. So, OP let them rack up a $5,000 tab. What if they couldn't afford to pay? What if Karen's credit card declined? What then? My friends, if any of you worked in the restaurant business, please leave a comment below on what happens if a customer doesn't dine and dash, but just orders too much food and doesn't have enough money to pay it. They aren't forced to wash dishes, are they? And that brings us to another end of our / entitled people. Guys, if you missed the last episode, a Karen tries to steal a 4-year-old's birthday party for herself. The Karen is the little boy's aunt. Check it out if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next one.